Get ready to find your recipe for a successful real estate lifestyle from America's top expert here at Greenlight REI with your host, Lance Edwards.
Well, hello everyone. Hi, this is Lance Edwards, and welcome to this edition of Greenlight REI, where we teach you the successful real estate lifestyle. And we have an expert speaker today that I could go on with accolades, because this is a gentleman, actually I've come to know him through his book. And when I read this book on financial freedom for business owners, I got to tell you, it was the best written volume I've written on the subject. And as soon as I read it, I reached out to this gentleman. He's one of the co-authors, and I had to get him on the show. And his name is Mr. Randy Luebke, and he is a financial advisor, is one label I guess you could put on him. He's also an investment advisor representative. He's a coach, and he's also a principal and founder of Lifetime Paradigm, which is a IT company specialized in providing what he calls real estate integrated and self-directed retirement planning, asset protection, estate and tax planning for business owners, homeowners, and real estate investors. So everybody who's going to be watching this, reviewing this, listening to it in the future is a candidate to what he has to say. I'm going to tell you right now, he's going to step outside some of the conventional rules with regards to what you may have been taught in the past about financial planning and tax savings and retirement planning. And in the short time we're going to have, because I could spend days, I mean, literally, picking this man's brain, you are going to walk away with some real nuggets. Matter of fact, I want to challenge you to this. I want to challenge you to take away just one idea that this man's going to be sharing with us for the day and implement it. And I dare say it'll save you or make you tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of your lifetime. He's created a number of unique or proprietary systems. Some of those he's going to be sharing with us today. And so I want to make sure you've got plenty of pens and paper, because he's got over 3 decades of experience as a consultant in this field. And with that, I want to welcome Mr. Randy Luebke. Welcome to Greenlight REI, Randy.
Well, thank you, Lance. Pleasure to be here today. I'm looking forward to our talk.
Well, it is an absolute pleasure to be here. And this is no hyperbole, man. When I read your book, the one that you and Mark Kohler put together, The Business Owner's Guide to Financial Freedom, I tell you, I consumed it, Randy, in one weekend. Once I got in that thing, and it is so, the strategies you teach, so I'm really, really honored to be able to have you here and share your secrets with our listeners. So what I wanted, and by the way, everybody, this is going to be Q&A. For those of you here on the live version that we're recording live right now, you're going to be able to submit some questions. The way that's going to work is go to your chat box and submit questions at any point along the way, and I'll be feeding them up to Randy so that we can get your questions answered here live. So to start that off, first for me, I've got some questions of my own, Randy. I want to seed the conversation here with, and
sure.
My first one in your book on financial freedom, you referenced Tony Robbins' book, Unshakable.
Yes.
And and he talks about the uniqueness of your role as what's called an independent fiduciary advisor. So for benefit of everyone listening here, what does that mean, being a fiduciary, and why is that so special? And in other words, why does this matter to everyone who's watching or listening to us now?
Yeah, that's a really great question to start with, Lance. So in Tony, in his book, which was, I think, published last year or the year before, was scoping out the role of financial advisors in the United States. And he came back with a number somewhere north of 300,000 licensed advisors in the United States, which sounds about right. Although in my market, it seems like all 300,000 of them are sitting here in Newport Beach, California. But that's what we have throughout the country. Now, what he found was, though, the bulk of those advisors work for what's called a broker dealer. And in our technical jargon, they become what's called a registered representative of the broker dealer. So only 30,000 of these advisors are fiduciaries. And I'm going to get into the value of being a fiduciary in just a moment here. So right there, you got 90% of the advisors out there are working for this broker dealer, and then only 10% are fiduciaries. Then of those fiduciaries, of those 30,000 fiduciaries in the country, only about 3,000 of them have the position that I have, which is an independent fiduciary advisor. What that means is that the other 27,000, even though they have the accolade, or I should say the acronyms of IAR in their name and their nameplate, they still work for a broker dealer as well. And the problem with that is a potential conflict of interest in the advice they give. So if I can go on a little bit, let me explain the difference between the guideline advice for a fiduciary versus a broker dealer advisor. Would that be okay with you?
Please, please, please.
Excellent. So basically, a broker dealer advisor uses something called suitability as their standard of advice. And for most part, people have heard the term before. They believe they understand what it means. But as we talk about this in our book, most people really don't. Because what suitability basically means is, if I'm a financial advisor, I just have to look at your financial situation, and if I believe that if the investment I recommend is something that, if it were to go south, in other words, if you were to lose all your money or a portion of your money because of that investment, but if I think you have the financial wherewithal to withstand that, I can give you the advice that it's okay to buy it. Even if it's not in your best interest, even if it's not even a good investment, if I think you can take the hit, I can advise it. You can't sue me. That's suitability.
Well, that means I can make my commission with regard of whether or not you're going to good for you. Is that what?
That's correct. And it's not to say that all advisors that work for broker dealers are going to give bad advice. That's not the point at all. There's lots and lots of good advisors that work for broker dealers. I'm just saying that they're not held to the standard where people think they are, which is giving advice that's in their best interest. And that's, by the way, what a fiduciary has to do by law. So as a fiduciary, my responsibility is to make sure that any advice I give or any guidance I give is always going to be in my client's best interest first and foremost. And it's not about this, whether it's going to make me a large commission or a small one. It's not about whether it's a good investment or a bad investment per se. It's about if it's the right thing to do for the client. That's a fiduciary.
All right. So you're basically 1%. If I did the math right, you started with 300,000. You're one of the 3,000, which is 1% of that professional group, correct?
That's absolutely correct. And that's the challenge, of course, for most consumers, because when they're out there and talking to the world of advisors, they have a 99% chance they're going to talk to somebody that's either strictly broker-dealer, registered rep, or they're going to be in a position talking to somebody that's wearing both hats. And I think that's even more confusing. Tony talks about this in his book too, because I'm an investment advisor representative working for a registered investment advisory, and it's a lot of names and initials. In other words, I could say I'm an RIA, but if I'm also working for a broker dealer, then it's up to the consumer to decide which hat they're wearing when they're giving the advice they're giving and whose best interests are really serving. Pretty confusing.
So what are they should be asking for? Let me make sure I got this right. They should be asking for an independent fiduciary advisor. Is that the correct language?
That's correct. Yeah. And then they're only wearing one hat, and that one hat is to serve the client.
All right. So everyone got that independent fiduciary advisor. All right. Well, we're speaking to one now. That's great. So let's talk about, there's a part of your book on the Business Owner's Guide to Financial Freedom. You have a very unique and proprietary, what you call real estate integrated and self-directed financial plan. You call it the 4x4 financial independence plan. And I got to tell you, when I read this is where you hooked me, man, because
Good.
This was just, it really struck me as a business owner and real estate entrepreneur. You're really speaking to me, and so you're speaking to everyone I know most likely that's listening right now. So explain to everyone, what is this 4x4 financial independence plan? What's so unique about it versus a traditional financial plan?
Yeah, another great question, and thank you for recognizing that in the book too, because it is very unique. And in fact, this has to do with how I basically got into this business too, because I didn't come in through, let's call it the front door, where I went to work for a Merrill Lynch or a Wells Fargo. I started out 32 years ago as a mortgage broker. And I'm still a mortgage broker today. I still help my clients every day with mortgages, and what I learned over doing mortgages over 32 years was that for most people, as in those exceptions, but for most people, especially if they're a business owner or a real estate investor, it's not their stock portfolio that's their biggest asset. It's going to be their business or their real estate that's going to be their biggest asset. And the traditional financial advisor just doesn't have any expertise or knowledge in that area to help guide their clients through a process to to financial independence, which is the goal of of the 4x4 plan. So because of that background and because of the way I came into the business, what I did is I started looking out there for traditional financial plans that could fill the bill, that could help people like you and me, right, as entrepreneurs, and your listeners as entrepreneurs and real estate investors, create a financial plan that wasn't just built on stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, right?
Right.
Right, and that's where the real estate integrated piece came in, because the 4x4, let me just explain how this works. 4x4, four essential elements and four sequential steps. Okay, so what are the elements of a financial plan? Well, there's four of them, as I said. One of them is financial independence, the income plan portion of it. It's also asset protection. It's also estate planning and tax planning. Those four things together work like a Rubik's cube, right? Or move chess players on a chessboard, right? Meaning that every time you change one, it affects the other. And so again, what most financial advisors are doing is they're focusing on selling stocks, bonds, or mutual funds, maybe life insurance or annuities. They're selling products, and they may incorporate that into a financial plan, but they're away from these other important aspects. And heaven knows, taxes are the number one biggest expense we're going to have in our lifetime. So how do you make a financial decision and create a financial plan and ignore taxes? It's crazy,
Sure.
right? So
right.
just to go on with that story. So there's your four elements: income planning, asset protection, estate planning, and tax planning. Now, how do we get this implemented? Well, we do this through our four steps. That's the other half of the 4x4. And the first step is optimizing everything you have. So what does that mean? That means that when I meet with clients for the first time, in all likelihood, they're not showing up with their first dollar. They've got a couple decades or more worth of assets they've accumulated, strategies they've implemented. They have jobs, they have kids, they have houses, they have lots of things. So all we want to do is get that financially organized. Take a look at what they have, see if there's things that we can eliminate, consolidate, simplify, and make sure at the end of the day that everything they have is doing all that it can for them. That's what we mean by optimizing. That's step one. Make sense?
Got it.
Okay.
Yep.
Step two, eliminate all debt. Now, let me elaborate on that a little bit, because unlike some of my counterparts in the financial advice business, I say there is debt that's good for you and debt that's bad for you. And to me, it's pretty simple and obvious. Look, if you have debt that you use to acquire things that you consume or depreciate in value, that's bad debt, right?
Yep.
It generally shows up on a credit card, maybe a personal loan, but it's usually higher interest rates. It's just debt for stuff that you consumed, or, like I said, depreciates in value. We want all that gone, right? We want to make sure all that's gone, because it's getting in your way of saving and investing for your long-term goals and plans. Step number 4, by the way. So a lot of my clients, this is where they get stuck, right? Because they might come in with 30, 40, 50, 60,000. Even I have one client, $250,000 of student loans. Hard to believe.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
Wow.
I know. So we create a debt plan, and we focus on putting those debts down and getting them to zero so we can move on. By the way, there's a little rabbit hole. I mentioned there's two types of debt. The other type of debt, good debt, is debt that makes you money. So debt that you might use to increase your inventory for your business, or that you might use to acquire real estate. There's lots of good reasons to have debt and use it in the correct way. So we don't want to get rid of that. We want to maximize that, and we want to eliminate the bad debts. That's step 2. Step 3, we want to make sure you have significant liquid cash reserves. Okay. Now, what do we mean by that? So cash reserves, by definition, need to be safe and liquid, right? We need cash reserves because if things go wrong, which things do in life, and bad times happen, you don't want to rely on your credit card to bail you out. You want to rely on your cash reserves, that dry powder, to get you through those bad times. The converse of that is when opportunities come along, whether it's a piece of real estate or some other investment, you need to have money to invest. Right? So,
right.
So we don't want you to have 1 or 2 months in the checking account, 1 or 2 months of your monthly expenses. We want you to have more like 9 to 12 months, maybe even 18 months of savings in a safe and liquid place, again, to protect you from the downturns and to give you opportunities to take advantage of when they come along. Okay.
All right. So let me recap. You going to do number 4 now? Because you want to repeat number 4?
You know what? I'll do number 4 because it's really quick. 4 is what everybody else is doing today. We want to save, invest for our long-term goals and plans. So what the problem with that is people start at number 4. I call that the dessert tray, right? And they haven't cleaned. They haven't cleaned up their house in steps 1, 2, and 3. So what happens is they get in the savings and investing world, and then things go wrong. They don't have a way to bail out. It falls apart, or they lose their job, or you see what I'm saying? It's just you got to do steps 1, 2, and 3 before you get to 4. Now you can recap.
All right, because this is, I want everyone to really catch this, because this is what is really unique. And I'm telling you, I've been looking. Actually, I've been looking for a while for Randy. Didn't know it was Randy until just recently. But there's 4 elements. So we got your financial independence plan. This is your income plan, an asset protection plan, a tax plan, and an estate plan. And I tell you what, Randy's spot on. Having gone through this, they're all integrated together. You move one, and it affects something else over here. It's what you call a Rubik's cube. It is a Rubik's cube. So you have to first step, and these have to be sequentially. They're steps, right? You want these done sequentially, correct, Randy?
That's absolutely correct. Yeah.
So step 1, you got to optimize. You got to get your financially organized particularly with regards to cash flow. And step 2. Start using cash flow to start eliminating all your bad debt, keyword being bad debt. Step 3, build up. You got the debt taken care of, your liquid cash reserve, so you've got that safe cushion. And anybody that lived through the recession and had their credit lines, slashed, knew what that was about.
Shut off. Yep.
Yeah, just cut off. And then the 4th step. Okay, now you got your debt gone. You got sufficient cash reserves. Now we're investing for the long-term goals. And did I recap that correctly? Let me check with the expert here first.
No, you got it absolutely perfect. And it's the sequence that's the secret, right? Because if you do it in the right order, you're going to dramatically increase your likelihood that you'll succeed.
Perfect. All right, perfect. Now, a moment ago, I said this was a, real estate integrated and self-directed financial plan. So what does that mean? Can you explain a little more about that, Randy?
Sure. I'm going to presume that a lot of your listeners are sophisticated enough to know what self-directed is, but I'll explain it for everybody. Again, if you talk to a Wall Street advisor, their idea of self-directing is letting you pick and choose the stocks, bonds, and mutual funds from their list to choose from. That's self-direction, right? But the reality is self-direction, when I'm talking about retirement accounts now, with self-direction, you can invest in literally anything from Bitcoin to, apartments and real estate complexes, businesses. Virtually everything is available to you as an investment with a couple small limitations. And so we want to have this open architecture system to allow our clients to invest in assets outside of the paper assets that Wall Street has, which, by the way, aren't horrible. I don't want to come across that you shouldn't have those things. There's some value to having these paper investments, especially in the liquidity piece of it. Right, you can turn them into cash quickly. That's a big deal, but it's just not the beginning and the end of it. There's a lot of choices, and again, because a lot of my clients are real estate investors primarily, or business owners and real estate investors, we want to be able to take that real estate asset, we want to be able to take that business asset and look at that in the context of their overall financial plan to because that has to be part of their strategy. Does that make sense, Lance? Does that answer your question?
I think so. I think yes, sir. I think it's self-directed, but not just self-directed from the choices that that Fidelity offers you, or your Fidelity account rep's going to offer you.
Right.
But self-directed from the whole gamut of options out there. And I think that's absolutely correct. Is that, a lot of people don't even understand what we're doing on this real estate side, but it's certainly part of the strategy.
Well, it is, and
right.
I've been self-directing myself for probably 20 years now, and I got to tell you, 20 years ago, trying to find a custodian that would allow me at the time I was making notes, I was lending people money, just to try to find one that would even allow me to do that was near impossible. Now there's a lot of them, frankly, available, and this has gotten more popular, and as people have gone through these things like they did in 2008 and back in 2000, where they saw what happened to Wall Street. So self-directing has a lot of value to it, and the point of this real estate self-directed thing is it's all encompassing. We have it all there. We're not going to just limit you to, like you said, the thing that's on my Vanguard spreadsheet or Fidelity or whatever.
Perfect. All right, so we've talked about investments. Now, one of the 4 elements was your tax plan, and I probably a safe bet, Randy, that most people, not everybody listening, is concerned about the amount of taxes they pay each year. So talk a little bit about what unique systems and strategies would you have for them to help reduce their tax burden?
Yeah, that's another great question. As I said in the beginning, taxes are going to be life's single biggest expense. If you look at the federal government today, it's in debt over its head and getting in debt more and more daily. The only way that they have to pay those debts is to raise taxes. So the likelihood of taxes going up in one shape or form in the future is very high, and I guess the converse of that is very low, that they'll go down. So you got to manage that, right? And the irony of it is, if we look at, say, an investment, just a typical safe money investment, where we got to struggle really to get 5, 6, maybe 7% rate of return safely, right? I mean, get more if you take more risk, but 5, 6, 7%. On the other hand, if I can save you $1 in taxes and you're in the 25% or 35% or 45% marginal tax bracket, that's the same thing as making 25, 35, or 45% on your money, right?
Sure.
So,
yeah.
Right. So doesn't it make sense to do things that you can do legally, of course, to reduce your taxes and focus that on that as a strategy, because it's going to give you more money to invest, it's going to give you more money in your pocket, and you don't have to take any risk to do it. You're just following the law.
Well, when you put it that way, yeah, there's your biggest ROI is every dollar you save on your taxes every year. It's at least 25%.
Depending on your tax bracket. The more money you make, the more money you're going to save. So your question was, did I have some unique strategies? And the answer is yeah. And one of them is really what this book is about, which is, the poor W-2 employee. They're the one that literally has nowhere to go, right? The only tax deduction they can get, the only 2 tax deductions they can get, is if their company offers a 401k plan. They can defer some taxes by making contributions into that. And then, of course, they can take the next step to being more entrepreneurial about it, and say invest in real estate, because real estate is available to everybody, no matter what kind of job that you have. And real estate provides some tremendous tax benefits. So that's one of our tools in our toolbox, is using real estate. And by the way, if your employer doesn't offer a 401k plan and you own investment properties, you can be the manager of that investment property. And now you do have a job being a manager, and that job can pay you money that you can now put in your own 401k plan and self-direct and save taxes. How about that?
Oh, say it again. So if you don't have a 401, if your employer does not offer you a 401k option,
yes,
but you own rental real estate that you're managing yourself, which is a job, you can create your own 401k.
Yes, you can.
Now, is that, some people might be thinking, well, yeah, but that's a big hairy process. Talk about that a little bit, Randy.
Well, yeah, actually, it's a really simple process. You're creating a management company, and at its simplest level, it can just be a sole proprietorship. But if you have an LLC or something else that you want to utilize, that's fine as well. But setting up the 401k is very simple. It's just literally filling out a few pieces of paper and signing it up. And now, instead of being limited to $6,000 or $7,000 worth of contributions to an IRA, you can, in addition to that, make $19,000 or up to $25,000 of contributions to a 401k. You can do that with you and your spouse, and you can even have some matching contributions if the income's there. To put $50,000-$60,000 a year away, tax deferred. And even if you're your sole employee in your company, you can have a 401k with one contributor. You. Absolutely, yeah. It's called a solo K, and the solo K makes it very easy to set up. And by the way, you can even have multiple 401ks. So even if your employer does offer a 401k, that doesn't preclude you from having your management company create a second 401k. You're just subject to the contribution limitations in total. So if I have $19,000 I can put in total, I can put, let's say I put $4,000 in my company plan because the company matches me up to that first $4,000. Want that free money, but now I have another $15,000 I could do through my other plan, and use that as a self-directed real estate integrated version. So yeah, you can do both.
So I don't want to get too far on this because I know you could talk hours on this, but
yeah,
one more question on this. So if you don't, I know you got a whole bag of tricks here. I know that. So if your employer doesn't have a 401k, maybe you've been contributing to a Roth IRA up to the limit, which is, what is that, $6,000, $6,500 per individual per year?
Yeah, and it varies by age a little bit. Yep.
But that's a limit over there. But if you do the 401k route, I think I heard you just say up to $19,000.
Correct, and again, depending on when we're listening to this podcast, this is 2019, but that's the limit, and presumably that's going to go up a little bit every year as well. But it's significantly more, right? And with just a W-2 employee, and now you have a rental property, now you have a way to increase your contributions, even if your employer doesn't have that plan set up for you at work. And if he does or she does, you can take advantage of both.
All right. Well, I'm not leaving taxes yet, but here's something that's probably familiar to most of our listeners, maybe not, but that is the topic of 1031 exchanges. And I talk about it a lot, certainly any kind of real estate, certainly with apartment buildings. So do you work with 1031 exchanges, or do you have any alternatives to a 1031?
I do, and we do. But before I walk away from these retirement plans, can I share one more with you? That it just
please.
Yeah, so exciting. Please. So we have something that we call a Super K. Now, a Super K, by the way, is not a thing. It's not an IRS contraption, if you will. It's not in the law, but it's a combination of an amalgamation of a variety of different plans. So we're talking about the IRA, you're going to be limited to say $6,000, and with the 401k $19,000, and with profit sharing you can get up to like $60,000 and change. With a Super K, what we're able to do is take these things that we're talking about, Lance. Those are all called defined contribution plans. The IRS defines the amount of money you can contribute each year, $19,000. But there's another side of the retirement spectrum called the defined benefit plan. And the defined benefit plan allows you to basically create a pot of gold that's waiting for you at your retirement. And that pot of gold is about $3 to $4 million that you can have set aside. So what happens is you're able to take the benefits of the defined contribution, combine them with the benefits of the defined benefit plan. And now what I've been able to do is take individuals that were maybe, again, stuck with $40,000, $50,000 of pre-tax contributions and take them up to $300,000 or $400,000 a year, right? And then double that for a married couple. So now we're taking $1 million pre-tax and putting it away into retirement plans for our clients. That's what I want to talk about. It's a big deal. It's called Super K.
Well, now you got everybody's attention. Okay, so the Super K. Now, who you have to kill to get one of those, Randy? So that must be a big hairy. What does that entail?
Yeah, it is much more involved. right? In fact, it's so much more involved that you're going to, or we're going to work with call a third-party administrator, which is really an actuary, and the actuary will then determine how much money you can put into the plan, file the different tax returns, create all the legal documents. It's a pretty involved process. But when you're talking about, let's say, $500,000 at even 30%, right? That's $150,000 of tax savings every year.
Sure.
That's big money, right? It's worth going through the work. And I just wanted to mention it to you because, again, not for everybody, but if you have an entrepreneur with a business that's successful, or a real estate investor or whoever, if you're looking for ways to save on taxes, we have ways to reduce that tax liability significantly.
And you certainly help them with Super Ks, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. Yep. We'll help you structure it. Well, in fact, we help them with the whole array. This is the beauty of working with the lifetime paradigm, because whether you're an individual and all you need is a simple little solo K or a 401k or an IRA, or whether you're a business owner and you have a big company with hundreds of employees, we can work with you to create the right plan.
Well, there's a whole bunch of options right there. Remember I said up front, everybody listen, one idea could save you $10,000 to $100,000, hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. Well, there's 3 or 4 right there.
There you go.
So, I mean, really, just on the, like you say, on the tax side, I mean, no kidding. If you're a 25% tax bracket, just one of these plans could be like having a 25% return on an investment every year, over and over.
Every year, yeah. And my philosophy is, defer everything you can, right? Because now you're going to buy time with that deferred money to figure out how to get it out of that deferred plan and not pay any taxes on it ever. But if you don't defer it, you're going to pay the taxes and you're not going to get it back. So defer everything you can, and then we will have time. We'll buy time to figure out ways to get it out and not have to pay taxes when we do it.
And worst case, you'll be in a lower tax bracket, presumably, when you start pulling it out. Worst case, right?
That's the idea. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Now
you want to talk about 1031 exchanges?
Yeah. Well, I'm getting ready. Yeah, tell me about 1031s, and I got one more. I'm not going to leave here to talk about this captive insurance company, but let's talk about 1031 exchanges. Is that a good deal, or are there alternatives? Teach us about that.
Yeah, so 1031 exchanges, of course, have been around for decades as well. I remember when I was first introduced to them, I was told the IRS didn't like them, and I believe that to be true. And with this new tax reform act that they put through last year, they severely limited our ability to use 1031 exchange. We used to be able to use a 1031 exchange even on company-owned vehicles. Right, you could sell the vehicle and exchange the equity into a new vehicle and not have to pay the taxes on it. Well, that's all gone. Now it's real estate only, right? And again, I'm assuming most of your listeners understand it, but for everybody's benefit, the basics are: I have a piece of real estate, it's appreciated in value. I want to buy another piece of real estate, and so I need to sell the one I have. I don't want to pay the tax law if you defer them long enough until you die to do pass, then those real estate assets get to step up this, and they all pass down to your heirs. Beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. The first one's pretty easy. You have 180 days from the time you sell a property to close on your new one. That's 6 months, and that's the other one, however, is you have 45 days to identify the property that you're going to be exchanging into. And that can create problems, especially, I'll give you a quick story about a couple I had that sold a little bitty home on the ocean here in Southern California that grandma bought, and they inherited, and they ended up selling it for about $3.5 million, this 1,800 square foot shack. Right, so yeah, there's nothing to depreciate and really nothing relative to the value of the property and income. So they wanted to do a 1031 exchange. Well, we had a 1031 exchange that $3.5 million into something like 35 single family residences all over the country. And we had to do that in 45 days. We had to identify those properties in 45 days, right? we did it. It wasn't easy to do, but we did it, and it's doable. But that's the limitation of the 1031. So what do we like about 1031s? They're relatively simple. They're very affordable. You know, a few $100s to get an accommodator. Um, and they work, right? They've been proven over and over again. But what I wanted to talk with you about today is not a new idea, but a different idea, using what's called a deferred sales trust. Have you ever heard of that before?
I have not.
Okay, so
Please tell us about it.
This is another nugget for your listeners. Okay, so a deferred sales trust works like a 1031 exchange, in that you can sell a highly appreciated asset and then push forward those taxes into the future at some point. Unlike a 1031 exchange, there's no restriction on the asset that you sell. So I could be selling Bitcoins that have appreciated value. I could be selling artwork. I could be selling stocks. I could be selling anything. I can take that highly appreciated asset, put it into the deferred sales trust, and I'm not going to pay taxes at the time of the sale.
Right.
That's plus number one. Plus number two is now that money sitting inside this deferred sales trust, I can reinvest that money again into any kind of asset I want. I can go back into real estate, or well, it didn't have to come from. I could sell stock and then buy real estate. I could sell real estate and buy stock. I can mix and match. I can do pieces and portions, and I don't have any time restrictions at all. Zero.
Oh, wait a minute. So, well, I'll let you finish. Go ahead. Don't interrupt. Don't interrupt.
No, I think it's a good time to interrupt. You were going to say,
That's
he had a question. Yeah.
So, all right. So let's recap this. So you sell a small apartment building. Proceeds go into the deferred sales trust. It's there for your use. By the way, it goes tax deferred into the trust, right? Tax free or tax deferred into the trust. You're not paying taxes at the time of sale.
Tax deferred.
And you've got whatever time frame you want to take to go buy any kind of asset, not limited to real estate. It could be, I don't know, investments. It could be gold, for example, that you can buy.
Yeah, there's virtually no limitation. And this is where, again, I think it has value. But again, 1031 exchanges are good. We use them all the time, and we're not disparaging them at all. We're just giving you another tool. But here's what I see. I'm here in Newport Beach, Orange County, California, right? And this is probably the same all over the country. Home values have gone up and up and up. So now they have these highly appreciated real estate out here that they want to sell. But if they're going to do a 1031 exchange, in all likelihood, they're going to be buying highly appreciated real estate again.
Exactly. Overpriced stuff, right?
Right. So wouldn't it be great if you could sell your highly appreciated real estate today at today's prices, park that money in something for a while, wait for a market correction or the right opportunity to come across, not being stuck with this 45-day, 180-day limitation, and then make use of those proceeds to affect your deal? Wouldn't that be a good opportunity?
Oh my gosh, that idea alone, and I'm going to recap it because I hope that everyone carries this away, because a fast path to wealth creation is actually, taking Uncle Sam out of the picture, taking a piece of your profit every time when you go from, I'm this apartment guy. You take a small apartment, a sixplex that you make a profit, you sell, and you go to 12 units and you sell, and you go to 40 units. That's 3 or 4 steps to 7 figures. So, but the problem is you got to do it every 45 days, and you may have a gun to your head. You may be overpaying for something just to meet you have 45 days to pick and 6 months to close. Here, right, you got the luxury of finding the next great deal, and before you go, roll that money over. And
you could wait years. You could wait years if that's what you felt like doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait for a correction. Wait for things to move down. Sell at the peak and wait for things to go down and go back and buy a bunch more. So, all right, deferred sales trust. Of course, you can help people set these up too, right, Randy?
Yeah, I can. And again, just like the Super K, this is not a simple thing, and it's not inexpensive like a 1031 exchange. But for the right circumstance and the right situation, it certainly makes financial sense to consider it. Another tool, great tool.
That's a fabulous tool. And I would dare say, if anybody in this, I got to admit, I the first time I heard about it. How come we don't hear about these things, Randy? Why do we not hear about these things?
Yeah, another really great question. I think there's a few reasons. Certainly, people with money that know people like myself, they know about these things because this is my job, right? To know about these things and help them with my clients. At the same token, you're just not going to see one of these big box brand name, Wells Fargo, Merrill Lynch's, whatever, out there advertising this stuff because they're not going to want their run-of-the-mill average advisor doing it. It's just, it takes some expertise, right? So
that's the real answer.
That is.
Yeah. It's not a normal everyday consumer product for their ideal customer. I guess I'd say it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, we got one more thing we got to talk about. Then we're going to open up some questions.
Okay.
And I cannot let you get away with talking about in the book. One of the unique strategies is what you call a captive insurance company. So please explain to everyone what that is and how that works and the benefits to them of a captive insurance company.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of my favorite strategies of all of them. And I'll begin by just explaining this concept to you because most people aren't aware of this. So when Warren Buffett and his company Geico takes in hundreds of millions, billions of dollars a year in insurance premiums from their insurance company, and this goes for all insurance companies in the United States, all that money that comes into that business comes in income tax free. Did you know that?
I did not know that on an insurance. No, I did not know that.
It makes sense once you get into it, but on the surface, it's crazy because every other business you have, no matter once you open your door and you start making sales, that's income, and that's going to be reported on your income tax return. But an insurance company has an exemption for premiums it receives. Why is that? Well, the reason for that is an insurance company has a inherent future risk called a claim, right? And because the insurance company doesn't know if or when that claim is going to come, the IRS says, well, all right, we'll let you take in all this money, not pay income taxes on it, and we'll let you set it aside in reserve so that when that claim comes, you can pay it. That's why it works that way. And it allows you as an insurance company to take in unlimited funds and not pay taxes on that. Now, why is that important to us? Okay, well, I'm not Warren Buffett, and neither are you, Lance, and probably he's not on this call. But the fact is, all of us on this call could own our own insurance company. Hence the name captive. We own it. We own the insurance company. So I want to relate this to the business owner specifically. So business owners, inherent with the nature of being a business owner, we take on risks each and every day with operating our business that some we insure and some we won't. Right? So for example, most business owners will have a general liability policy, the slip and fall thing, and they may have fire and theft, employee theft. If they have employees, of course, they'll have workman's comp. They'll have the things that are required and things that they feel are if something happened, they just wouldn't be able to bear the burden of the cost of a claim, right? So they have insurance for those reasons.
Right.
On the other hand, there's lots of risks that business owners take on that we refuse to pay for, a third party, right? Because we just assume it's part of the nature of our business. We refuse to take on insurance to pay for the loss of a key client. We refuse to take on and pay for insurance for maybe cybersecurity or maybe inventory problems or on and on and on. Lots of things that business owners have.
True.
Right. So
True.
We just suck it up and hope we don't hit that car that's moving by us. We just get by it. On the other hand, if you own that insurance company and you could take the money out of your operating business, pocket A, and move it over to pocket B, pocket A gets the deduction for paying the premiums, pocket B gets the money but doesn't have to pay income tax on it. What did I do? I created a tax deduction and it really didn't cost me anything.
All right.
That's
okay, so I'm with you. Okay, so we're setting it aside. We're taking it, like you say, pocket A. We'll put it into pocket B. So now it's sitting in pocket B. How do I get it out of pocket B to use in the most tax advantaged way?
Great question. So what is Pocket Bee? Pocket Bee is an insurance company. It's a real business, right? It's not a sham. This is a real business. You're going to create an insurance company. And what do insurance companies invest in? Well, most insurance companies, not most, all insurance companies invest in two things. They own high quality bonds, high quality debt, right? Bonds, and real estate, right? So I can take this money and put it into my captive insurance company. And now once the money's in the insurance company can take that money and should do this, take it and invest it in high quality bonds and real estate to grow the value of that of the assets inside the insurance company in case there's a claim that's going to come up.
All right. So you bought a small apartment building, for example. A captive insurance company, and that's it owns a small apartment building. It's getting income coming off, cash flow coming off that small apartment building. The value's going up, so its equity position's going up. And of course, if there's ever a loss, let's say you lose inventory. One of the risk factors that's normally uninsured happens in your business. And does your business now make a claim to the insurance company to pull that money out?
Yeah.
How do you pull the money out?
Yeah, you kind of skipped over a step there. So if I own an insurance company, right, I have to have a lot of liquidity in case there's a claim, because if you have an apartment building, somebody makes it a claim, you're not going to sell the apartment building to pay the claim, right? You're just not going to do that.
Right.
So let's say I put $1 million into my captive insurance company. I might take, $500,000 of it and use that to buy the apartment building, and then the other half I'll have in bonds because they're liquid, right? Still giving me a decent rate of return. And you're right. Then if I have a claim, and by the way, you're the only one that's going to have a claim because you're the only customer of your insurance company, right? You're not insuring the world. Right. So if I have a claim, then I'll take some of the cash out of my insurance company and pay that claim. And what did I just do, by the way? I've now managed to pay a claim with pre-tax dollars. If I had that same loss and I didn't have my captive, I would always have to be doing that with my after-tax dollars, right?
Yes. From an insurance taxable, are they?
Correct. That's correct. Yeah, because you have a loss that offsets it, so one washes out the other. So I'm more effectively using my dollars. I'm getting great tax deductions. I'm also getting frankly one of the best asset protection strategies ever, because I'm taking money and I see this all the time. You have companies that are successful and they have large savings or checking accounts where the money's sitting because unless they're redeploying it directly back into their business, it's just accumulating. Well, all that money is subject to claims of creditors, whether it's employees or third-party creditors. Once you put it in your captive insurance company, it's only got one customer, it's you, and you're not going to sue yourself to get that money.
Yeah, beautiful. It is. Yeah, it's ironclad Pocket Bee over there. So. That is brilliant. All right, so that's another thing you can help people with is having their own captive insurance company. I'm imagining for the right client, correct?
Yeah, it's the right client. You gotta, again, you're creating a real business. It costs money to set up the business, to create the insurance policies, to administrate it. So you're not going to do this for a small amount of money, but for somebody you're really to give you a benchmark today, you want to have about $500,000 a year of excess cash flow. That you would like to do something with this with, and anything above that, up to about $2 million, you can put into one of these captives. That's your range.
All right, so this is fabulous. Are you up for some questions, Randy? Because I could go on with my own question, but I want to make sure we get some questions from our listeners. Are you up for that?
I'm up for it. I don't. I see one question that says invest. Let me see. Can you read it? I can't quite read it.
Yeah, I'll read it to you. So we got some questions coming in. So here's the way it's going to work, everyone. So you submit a question through the chat box. For those of you listening live, you can submit questions. For those of you listening to the podcast, you have to hear the questions. So here's a question. It says, I'm young and new to real estate. What should I primarily be concentrating on? I'm young and new to real estate.
How would you answer that question, Lance?
If I was, what I would, first of all, being a trainer in real estate, I'd basically concentrate on your deal flow. Let's get you in some deals and get some money coming your way through transactions. That would be my answer as the real estate trainer. Did you have a different answer than that?
Well, I think an add-on. So you're basically saying deal flow to create money, create income so that you have some money to invest. Is that what you mean by deal flow?
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, and then I would just say, and on the deal itself, that for the deal that you're going to keep, you want to focus on a good cash flow, right? You don't want to buy properties with negative cash flow. One caveat to that: a lot of properties that have really, really good cash flow are generally properties that are in not necessarily the most desirable areas.
Yep.
And right, and so you always got to balance out that cash flow with the appreciation, right? And you know, and also the turnover and the maintenance and all the other stuff that goes along with it. But my short answer would be take Lance's idea, deal flow to create the money to have money to invest, and then when you invest, you know, focus on making sure that you have a positive cash flow with a good quality property.
And I, of course, agree 100% of that. 100%, absolutely. Because a lot of people get focused on wholesaling and flipping these property, which I certainly go flip to generate chunks of cash, but your end game is cash flow, buy and hold. Because otherwise, every day is a brand new day, starting from scratch.
Yep.
Yep. All right, I got another one here.
How? A hunter and a farmer. Go ahead. There's a difference between
a hunter versus farmer. Yeah.
Hunter's got to go out and kill every day, and a farmer gets to plant the seeds, water, weed, and wait, but they get to reap that harvest over and over and over again.
Great analogy. Matter of fact, I'm stealing that from you. Thank you for that, Randy.
I probably stole it from somebody else. So.
That's a perfect analogy. All right, another question. How should I be using my traditional IRA? You know, we talked a little bit about IRAs. How should I be using my traditional IRA? That's a pretty broad question, Randy, but I mean, do you have any wisdom or thoughts with regards to that?
Yeah. So, okay. If your IRA is huge, meaning worth a lot of money, you have lots of choices and options to you available to you, right? Like the things we were talking about, some of the things we're talking about. If you have a couple $100s or a few $1,000s, your options are going to be very limited, right? So on the very limited side, let's kind of look at that, because that's the harder one to figure out what to do. You really have just a couple choices. You can just put it literally into an exchange traded fund, an ETF, S&P 500 worth low fees, and just ride the market. You know, just go along for the ride and don't, you know, pay attention to the ups or downs. Just hope it, you know, over the long term, it's there long enough to make money. But it will be liquid. And because it's liquid, that means you could use that money to partner with other people to get into other deals, right? Because you don't have to do the whole deal to get involved in a piece of real estate. You just need to be part of it. And that would probably be the second piece of it. So put it in something that's going to be liquid and easy to manage, and maybe get a good rate of return, and then look for opportunities to partner with others so you can get enough capital to do some bigger deals. What do you think about that, Lance?
I love that. No, I love that. That's one of the benefits of sort of with real estate, the leverage of, you know, getting options on real estate and getting pieces of deals. I think that's great advice. Great advice. All right, I got one more for you. You're going to love this one. This one says, my Fidelity broker told me I can't use my Fidelity self-directed IRA to invest in real estate. Is that true?
Well, the answer is, his answer is factually true. You can't do squat with that Fidelity IRA, right? Except for what in other words, he's going to have, you're going to his restaurant or her restaurant, and they have a menu, and you're going to order from that menu, because that's it, right? So what you need to do is you need to get away from that limited and restricted Fidelity platform and self-direct it. And then again, the world's your oyster. There's only 2 or 3 things you can't invest in. That's how you do it. And by the way,
yeah, exactly.
you don't touch the money, right? Money's in the IRA, it's in there pre-tax, right? And so you don't ever want to get a distribution. So you don't have your Fidelity guy send you a check and then you put it in your new self-directed brokerage account. You open the brokerage account, you do a trustee to trustee transfer. Don't touch the funds because you don't want to pay the tax.
Very good. Very good. All right. So you've thrown a lot of stuff out here, Randy. I know a lot of people are going to want to get more information, possibly work with you as well, and they should be working with you. So how do they avail themselves of more of your information? How do they get in contact with you? I know you got some great resources. What can you share?
Yeah, a couple things. I can't believe we're already at 55 minutes. Wow. All right.
I'm telling you, man. We go on all day.
Yeah. I know. I love talking about this stuff, and you ask good questions. So yeah, we could go all day. So all right. So the best way to reach me is really just to go to my website, lifetimeparadigm.com. And I know that paradigms can be hard to spell, so I'll just, it's LITIME. That's the lifetime part, and then paradigm is PARADIG, like George, M like Mary. Lifetimeparadigm.com, or just Google my name, or Google Lifetime Paradigm. You'll find us. And when you get there, on the landing page, you're going to see presented there the opportunity to enroll in what we call the Financial Independence Toolkit, the FIT. And I really want to encourage all your listeners to take advantage of that. The FIT is going to provide you with some amazing financial guides, written charts and tables, and just great tools. Things about, like we're talking about today, college education, how to take care of aging parents, wealth transfers, all kinds of stuff, all free, right? We're going to give you 2 free financial analyses, and my one of the 2 is about stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. The second one is about budgeting. I call it budgeting for dummies, right? For people that that struggle with that, and tools to get yourself out of debt. Unfortunately, we get a lot of calls, or a lot of emails, I should say, from people that have a debt, and it's a big problem in America. We have a great solution, and then we also have a really good solution for creating that cash reserve fund that we were talking about. We have a 3-tiered system to do that. So all that's included in the FIT. It's free. Go to the website, enroll in it, and then you're going to get an invitation to schedule a consult with me for 20 minutes at no cost. So that's a good offer.
That's a huge offer. What was the cost on that again? I forgot to write that down. What's the cost on that again, Randy?
The cost and effort is free, and again, because it's a podcast, and people might be listening to this 50 years from now. But yeah, the point is that things could change inside the kit. We keep upgrading it and adding to it. But it's a great way to get a lot of good financial information and a conversation with me at no cost to you.
All right, and I want to, for those listening, if you're watching live, I've got the URL up here on the screen. But of course, if you're listening to the podcast after the fact, I'm going to put all this on the show notes. And let me give you, everyone, go to greenlightreinvesting.com, greenlightreinvesting.com, archive of this session, and all the links. We'll have those there for you conveniently, because I want you to get you plugged into this gentleman. He's just given you a small appetizer sampling of the strategy that he has and the way he's going to be benefiting you as a business owner and a real estate entrepreneur. So lifetimeparadigm.com, Lifetime and Paradigms, PARADIGM. Randy, this has been outstanding. Exceeded. I mean, I just, every time I talk to you, I learn more, and you impress me more. And so I just really thank you for sharing so much on this time we had today.
Can I do one more thing? We got like 60 seconds, right?
Please. No, please.
So every year for the last several years, my co-author, Mark Kohler, and I have been doing a road show, a series of trips around the country. And this is another great way for us to connect with your audience. This year, we're going to be doing one in Seattle, another one in Chicago, another one in Philadelphia. We do one in Honolulu, and we do one here in Orange County. These are all-day workshops on a Saturday. We feed you lunch. We spend the whole day talking about these kinds of things, these kinds of strategies. And like I said, I've been doing this for years with Mark. You're not going to hear this stuff anywhere else. You asked that early on, why doesn't everybody know about this? They don't talk about it. This is where you can hear about it and learn about it. So I'd really encourage you, again, to go to the websites, click on the events link. And if there's a place you'd like to go to, maybe you'd like to come and visit us in Hawaii and write off that trip, come on out.
There you go. There you go. That was going to be my question. They can deduct that trip to Honolulu. So.
You sure can. You can deduct about 5 days worth of it because you got to get there, and you get there on a Thursday night, then you got to be there Friday and get ready, and then the workshop's on Saturday, and you can't count Sunday, and then Monday's another travel day. So yeah, you can do a nice vacation out of it.
And I get really tired, so I need to rest up before I come to these things, Randy. So I'm going to need more than 5 days. I'm going to have to take 10. I think.
There you go.
Well, all right. Now, so, of course, if you're going to attend one of these workshops, go check right now. This is depending on when you hear this podcast recording, but by all means, stay up fresh, and you keep it up to date on the webpage.
We do, yeah, we do. Yeah, they'll always be up to date with because we add them too and change them, and yeah.
Perfect. So the main thing, everyone, get yourself and your business plugged in to Randy and avail yourselves of these strategies, these ideas. Remember, I started off today saying one idea could save you tens, not hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime, and I think Randy just proved it today. So, Randy, before we wrap up here, you got any final words of wisdom that you would like to share with our listeners?
Wow, that's a tough one. So, yeah, I do. See, fundamentally, the goal is to accumulate enough assets to provide the income you need to live the life you want. Once you've done that, now you have financial independence and work becomes an option. So if you just focus on that, think about it. How do I accumulate enough assets to provide the income I need to live the life I want? That's the American dream. And that's what we're trying to do and promote and help our clients every day.
Perfect. That's why you and I are connected at the hip. That's exactly my message.
I love it.
So,
this has been fun, Lance. Thank you so much for inviting me here today. I really appreciate it.
I'm going to invite you back. If you're up for it, I know there's more topics. I'm going to have you back. Be interested in coming back sometime, Randy?
I'd love to. Yeah, there's always more topics. They keep changing the laws and the taxes, and yeah, there's always something to talk about. We didn't talk about Social Security. We didn't talk about we have so many things we could talk about.
And what else? We're not going to hear it anywhere else. So we got to come pick your brain some more. So Randy, again, thank you so much. This has been outstanding. Exceeded my expectations, and I'm already familiar with some of your things. And so thank you so much.
No, thank you, Lance. I appreciate it. Thanks for all you do.
All right, everyone. So it's Lance Edwards with this session of Greenlight REI. Again, for the archive. And you can get an archive of this recording and other past recordings and all the links and the show notes for this valuable session. Go to greenlightreinvesting.com. That's greenlightreinvesting.com. Until our next session, make sure and make your lifestyle a successful one. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.
You've been listening to The Expert with Lance Edwards. Let us now blatantly and shamelessly bribe you toward creating your own real estate lifestyle by offering you a whole bunch of free stuff. Go to greenlightreinvesting.com and get you some free stuff and this session's show notes.